his mother.
I just want to say that my son is awesome.
Absolutely.
And all I have to say about my son is that he's the sweetest person. So me and Selena,
Yes. Thank you.
because that's the way she was.
Yes.
And I have to say this, but I think she was adopted.
We all do. We all do.
Hey, it's Tia, baby. And I am back with another video. So, a supporter has sent me a clip on Selena's mother-in-law, aka Chris Perez mom. She didn't look for, I mean, when I saw her, when I saw her, I was like, she don't look like Chris mom. But I mean, I only saw like pictures of her when she was younger and when she was like, when Selena was alive. I think I seen one picture of her a couple of years ago with him, her, and his sister, I believe, during Thanksgiving, during the holidays, and she had a Selena shirt on. But I don't remember what she looked like in that picture. But the source said that it was his mom. And the caption states that she thinks that Selena was adopted. And I know some people were being literal by saying she's not adopted, as if they really believe, as if what she was saying was accurate or what she was saying was the truth. That's just how she felt. She wasn't saying it as if Selena was really adopted. Of course, we all know, and she knows as well, that Selena wasn't literally adopted because she looks like the both of them. But she was saying it based on her personality. No one in that family so far shows the love and empathy and sympathy and compassion and generosity and all of that. None of her family members shown that. Now, Marcella is an exception back then, but I can't speak on how she is now today because she's not in the limelight. So I would love to believe that she is still that, compassionate, sensitive to people's feelings, similar to Selena type of vibe. I'm hoping she's still like that, but because she's not in the limelight, I don't know if she really is like that again, like that today. And I feel like two things. I'm like on the fence of her per se, because a part of me is like, well, maybe she's not in the limelight and maybe she's just not coming forth with anything because she's being a doting and devoting wife to dictator. And she feels she's old school, just like him. So she is told to, keep your mouth shut. Your husband is in control. I'm not saying that she doesn't, voice her opinion to him or whatever, but maybe that's the persona she's giving off to the public. Then another part of me is like, if she is this person that we all believe she is, why haven't she come forth and outed the family that, is using Selena and allegedly using Selena and making money off her name and off her death, and publicly humiliating themselves and Selena and her fans on social media? Why haven't she come forth and, tell her side of the story? Also, another side of me is like, well, maybe social media is not her thing, so she don't know what to say, or maybe she has corrected them behind closed doors, but they just brushing her feelings aside and, you know, letting her know, oh, we're not doing anything. It's nothing to worry about. You know, we got this. Or maybe that's what they're doing, and maybe she has voiced her opinion or voiced her feelings to her family behind closed doors. So it's a question mark by Marcella, not Miss Marcella. I'm not saying that she's not what she says she is. I'm not saying that. I'm hoping she is what everyone believes she is. I'm just giving different scenarios of, you know, what is her reasons of keeping quiet while the rest of her family is making a circus or a sideshow out of Selena's legacy and out of her husband and, you know, her fans and all of that. Because the way that Dictator, ABCDFG, and Susie Q are operating this whole Selena enterprise and operating this whole um freak show is just like nothing that Selena would support, in my opinion, and nothing that Selena was for. Selena was very dedicated to her fans. Selena never talked mean, never talked down on her fans, never dismissed her fans. The only one that she did put in her place was the fan that was very rude to her. Well, two people. One fan, or so-called fan, grabbed her butt, and she allegedly punched him. She had every right to defend herself because that is sexual harassment. The person from the person that touched her behind or grabbed her behind. And then the other so-called fan was very mean and nasty to her because she wouldn't sign an autograph or a picture when because she was eating, and the fan got upset and said some rude things to her, and she dismissed her. You know, well, she didn't really dismiss her. She just basically said, "You can wait when I finish eating. I'm eating," and you know, the fan wasn't having that, and the fan rolled out. So, but that was on the fans, so-called fans' fault. It wasn't Selena's fault. So Selena was very dedicated and compassionate and very close with her fans. She tried her best to be, if not close, but 100%, you know, dedicated to her fans' needs. She would not go leave a event without signing a bunch of autographs, taking pictures, shaking hands, giving hugs, you know, giving away merchandise or anything like that. Her fans was very important to her because they helped build her career and got her to where she is today. And by her passing away and her family so-called keeping her legacy alive, they're basically making a mockery out of her legacy because they're not displaying anything that Selena have left to this world. They have not shown compassion to her fans. They have not shown empathy or sympathy to her fans. They have dismissed fans. I have been told allegedly that some of them has dismissed fans by not signing their autographs, by being rude to them, by being mean to them, by getting in their face, or in all of that stuff. And that's not something that Selena would have done. Selena would have broke her back to make sure that her fans get what they need. And that's facts. And I'm not saying that every time her family has dismissed or been rude to her fans, but it's a great amount of fans that have came to me and told me that they've met these people and they were rude and nasty to them. And that's not something that Selena would have done. And that's why I'm saying that they're making a mockery out of her legacy. Also, my reasons of them making a mockery out of her legacy allegedly is the fact that they keep, and I've said this before, that they keep putting out merchandise, silly merchandise that Selena probably wouldn't know, that Selena would not have vouched for. Toy pagers, boom boxes, t-shirt. Now, I will say the Selena shirts, maybe, because she has also been seen wearing her own shirts when she was alive. But Selena was, and I've said this thousands of times, Selena's focus in fashion was boutique-like clothing, very chic, very sophisticated clothing. The stuff that they've been putting out, hoodies, t-shirts with her name and her picture plastered over, that's just the easy way out to get money, because that's not something she would have really been sticking with to make her name exposed to fashion. She was into like high class, for sophisticated fashion, like like close to like Vogue, like Gucci or Chanel and like very chic stuff. And I feel like, and I've said this before, if they really wanted to keep her legacy alive, then they would have continued on the things that she was doing before she had passed away. Like um she wanted to make her clothing line well known internationally and nationally, not just locally in Texas, but all over. They could have pushed to got that done. Now, they could have worked closely with everybody that was associated with Selena to keep her boutique open. They could have kept Martin Gomez in their lives. Now, granted, I will give them the satisfaction, the benefit of doubt with him, because I've seen Martin Gomez be really, really emotional when people ask him about Selena, as if it still haunts him to this day, and that he's still kind of mourning or grieving over her death. So maybe he wouldn't be interested in, continuing on her fashion legacy because he's still hurt by the death of her. Maybe he was approached by a dictator in them to see if he want to, continue on her legacy when it came to her fashion, and maybe he declined. I wasn't there, I don't know, maybe. But if he hasn't, which I highly doubt he did that, but who knows. But like I said, they could have linked with him and other people that was associated with him that was helping her with her fashion, her clothing line, to give some type of replicas or something that's close to what she was planning on launching, to make that possible. They could have tried hard. The family could have tried extra hard to keep that business open. Now, I know that I read somewhere that they gave the business to Chris, and I feel like this. I feel like Dictator did that on purpose, because they knew that Chris didn't have business sense in the fashion world, and they knew that with him being in charge, that it was going to crumble to the ground eventually, because Chris doesn't have that business smarts. He doesn't have a background in business. He doesn't know nothing about fashion or keeping a boutique open. So I think Dictator did that on purpose by allowing him to have that dictatorship on her boutiques, so it can make him look like he just failed Selena, when really it was Dictator that set him up, in my opinion. I'm not saying that this is accurate. I'm not saying that this is, what he actually did. I'm just saying that I wouldn't put it past him, because granted, Dictator had access to everything. He was the sole controller, manager, everything over Selena's assets. So for him to give Chris that control over the boutique, to me, it felt like a setup, because he knew that he wasn't going to be able to run that long term, because he was, Chris was more focused on his own career as a musician and getting that off the ground after, the passing of his wife, and then trying to manage a boutique. That was too much for him, and he knew that. So that's why I said I wouldn't put it past him, if that were to be true, that he was setting them up, for failure. But in the video, it states that, Selena and Chris were really close, and Selena was really close to his mom, and because of the way that the family is carrying on her name and carrying on with fans and stuff, she was saying she wouldn't be shocked that she was adopted. That sometimes she thinks she was adopted because Selena showed no signs of the way her family acts to the public and to other people. Selena didn't display that. So I agree with her that that she seems as though she was adopted because she's nothing like her family. She's nothing like her family. And people keep saying that Selena was allegedly a human sacrifice. I'm not going to speak on that because I don't know. I know nothing about that. I know bits and pieces, but I'm not an expert on Illuminati or sacrificing or anything like that. I have no recollection of that, so I'm not going to speak on that. I will say that I have read and heard from various people on social media and in the media that certain celebrities were more famous dead than alive. And I will say Selena is one of them. I'm not saying that she would not have been as successful if she would have still be alive. I truly believe that no doubt that she would have been extremely successful alive as well as dead because she was already extremely successful alive. It was only a few musicians that was able to sell out the Houston Astrodome, and that was Michael Jackson, I think Garth Brooks or one of those country singers, Selena herself, and nobody beat her numbers until a couple of years ago, which was Cardi B. So she was very much successful and would have been very much successful, excuse me, if she was alive. But I will say, like, celebrities like Aaliyah was very much more successful dead than alive. Even though she was popular when she was alive, but she got most of her stardom when she passed away. Because a lot of people sampled her music. A lot of people slapped her face and her name on T-shirts. Then they made that lame not documentary, but biopic on Lifetime about her. They kept bringing out different albums, of her after death, and now they bringing out a new album with her unreleased songs and people that have featured on her songs. And now, like, she's like #1 on streaming. Well, was, and with like sold millions of streaming songs under her name, and that's way more than what she was doing when she was alive. But she also didn't get a chance to fulfill everything that she wanted to fulfill when she was alive because she was also very young when she passed. So yeah, no doubt Selena would have been very much successful alive. Every day I feel sad when I see her pictures on IG or whatever because she's supposed to be here. It's no reason why she should be dead. It's no reason. Like, it just still hurts and it's still unbelievable and it's still not fair. But things happen, and I hate to say that because it sounds so cliche and it also sounds so careless because it shouldn't have happened. And like I said, and like when I read in the chapter 4 or 5 in Selena with Love, where I read that ABC Dictator had a map to search and find where Chris lived to see if Selena was with him, because he was just that obsessed and that angry that Selena was dating him, but did none of the sort when people were coming to him about Yolanda's weird behavior and obsessed behavior. Brushed it off every time. And it was just unbelievable. And he was acting just like her, the male version of her. That's why I called him Mr. Dictator Saldivar, because he's the male version of Yolanda. But you know, that's all I really have to say about that. I will also put out another video next week, 2 videos next week. The first video next week I will put out will be the continuation of chapter 5, and then I will put out another video next week in reference to an article that allegedly I've heard that fans were outraged of the person Joey Posey, I think that's his name, the person that played Chris in the Selena series, how, you know, he felt bad that he had to portray him, his anger, I guess, can portray Chris's anger side as if Chris was an angry person, when Chris was not an angry person. He was a passive person, but he wasn't an angry person. So yeah, I will put out 2 videos next week in reference to that. But that's all I have for now, and I will see you all next week. Peace.